Before the new year even began, we've been talking about losing weight, what to eat, and healthy living here on First at 4. I had an opportunity to speak with Dr. John Whyte via satellite, the author of a new book the AARP is a part of, New American Diet, Lose Weight, Live Longer. Dr. Whyte shared the discoveries of his research and described the sort of foods we should be eating more of. We're chatting with Dr. John Whyte. He's the author of the new book, AARP New American Diet, Lose Weight, Live Longer. Dr. Whyte, thank you so much for taking time to chat with us today.
Sure, Danny. Thanks for including me.
Absolutely. Now, you have been studying Americans, our food, the way we eat things. You put it all together in this book. Tell me, what have you learned and what's really surprised you so far?
Well, what I've learned is that in order to lose weight and live longer, we need to do a couple things. We need to focus on what we include as well as what we exclude. So to include, we need to have more fish. We need to eat more fruits, more vegetables. We need to go nuts over nuts. We need to have more low-fat dairy, and we want to have more whole grains. At the same time, we want to reduce all the refined grains that we have, the white rice. We want to reduce all the sugary beverages that we consume throughout the day. And we want to get rid of all the saturated fat that we typically have in processed meats. If we made those changes, we'd be well on our way to shedding those pounds.
Now, most people want to lose weight when they go on some sort of diet, but the foods that you just mentioned and the way that you talk about eating them, including them in your lifestyle, that actually helps you live longer, right? Explain that to me.
It does, and what the data showed is that food impacts our life from the perspective of what diseases we get and how long we might live. You know, as a doctor, I write prescription drugs, but what I've also learned by looking at this data over time is that food is as powerful as any medicine. It impacts our hearts, our brains, our lungs, our skeletal system. You know, we have an obesity epidemic going on, and the problem with that is that causes us to die prematurely of heart disease, diabetes, and cancer. So by choosing the right foods, not only will we lose weight, but will also reduce our incidence of diabetes, of heart disease, and cancer.
Now, we're in the new year, roughly a month into it. Many people right now are struggling with the diet that they started as a New Year's resolution. In my experience, diets don't seem to work because you may lose 15 pounds here, but 3 or 4 months down the line, you gain 20 back, usually because you're cutting something like protein or carbs and eating more maybe sugars instead. Now, do you believe in diets? And if you do, is there one that actually works to where we can keep the weight off and feel satisfied and be healthy?
You know, you're exactly right. What I tell people is that the smartest diet is actually no diet at all in the traditional sense that we think about it. So too often people are saying, I want to lose 10 pounds for an upcoming reunion or 15 pounds for an upcoming wedding. And what we should be doing is saying we need to find a diet to live on rather than a diet to go on. And that's what the New American Diet is about. I'm not about counting calories. I'm not about taking out a calculator and figuring out the percentage of carbs, proteins, and fat. That's not how we eat. No one can sustain that over time. So instead, what we need to do is focus on those foods that have been proven to reduce weight and reduce the incidence of disease. And that's what fish has done. That's what nuts have done, the whole grains, the low-fat dairy. And that's why I focus so much on it.
Now, you mentioned fish and nuts, fiber-rich foods as well. It sounds like you're going for foods that are very nutrient-rich and calorie-light. And our processed foods tend to be the exact opposite of that, correct?
That's exactly right. You know, the closer we can stay to food in its natural state, the better off we are.
All right, super. Now, there's so much conflicting information out there. I could go to this one website and they're telling me to drink 12 cups of water a day, and another website's telling me to drink a bunch of juice. Another website's telling me to juice my produce. Where do you go for your information?
You know, a great site is the AARP.org/New American Diet. And again, it goes to, we've based the recommendations on science and research and 25 years of study, not my personal anecdote or the anecdote of 2 of my friends. You know, it's based on real science and real data that we know for sure which foods actually are going to help us lose weight and live longer. So that's the site that I would go to.
All right. Dr. Whyte, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thanks for including me. I was delighted to be here.
Absolutely. Good luck with your book.
Thank you.